Welcome to the full driving review of the Mercedes A35 AMG, this new entry-level AMG. Is it already a true one? We will find out together here on Autogefuehl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars. Today with Thomas and the exterior, interior and the sporty driving experience we will experience together in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. And in the warm morning sun here on Mallorca, I'll show you the design overview in the front. This is, by the way, denim blue, the color. We have also filmed for you a sun yellow and also a mountain gray, Magno matte gray. There's some more other colors available. This one here, very interesting blue color for sure. We have stronger bumpers in the lower part for the A35, and this is also the edition 1. Which will be the same then with the Aerodynamic Package, where you can get a bigger bumper also with some side accentuations. The front grille has this pin structure, but not the diamond pin. The diamond pin would be in the AMG line for the A-Class. This one here, as a true AMG car, already has this dual fin grille with the AMG badge. Then you can see we've activated the daytime running light of those headlamps. They start still with halogen, then option you can get LED. And those ones here are the multi-beam LED for the high beam, which can also spare out some parts, for example, of cars that are running in front of you and so on, that they're not blinded by the high beam. What do you think here of the A35 in any design? 4 meters 42, 14'5" or 174 inches is the total length. Now I ended up with giving 3 length dimensions measurements. Whatever. I think you can pick your favorite one. Interesting, by the way, that the A-Class has the very same length as the B-Class. That's interesting, right? 18-inch rims for the AMG A35 from standard, but those ones are the 19-inch rims, the biggest ones that are available. Also in the special golden style, since this one here is the edition 1 special launch model. Also features this aerodynamic package I have been talking about. In the front there, the black ones. Also here with another bumper out the side, with the golden wrap right there. And also this big wing at the rear part, so you do not have to go for it, either with the edition 1 or with the optional dynamic aerodynamic package. But I would rather keep it subtle. I think I would rather go without one. Would you pick the big one here, maybe to serve food at the lunch or something, or would you rather go with the more subtle way? Again, the denim blue color here has a lot of different color nuances here in the morning light. That's very beautiful, the dropping line right here. And if you compare it to a previous generation A-Class, this one here now, the new generation, has grown 12 centimeters in length, so significantly longer. Will this have an effect on the dynamic driving of the vehicle? We will soon find out together. And look at those brake calipers here, really huge for a compact vehicle. Of course, the A35 always comes with bigger disc brakes than the normal models. Well, with this Aerodynamics package, it looks really massive from the rear perspective. Without it, it would be a little bit more subtle for sure. Also with this huge diffuser, which is also part of the pack. I think it's just a little bit too much. By the way, those exhaust tips here are fake. So the real exhaust, there are 2, but they're a little bit smaller. You can see it on the inside. Again, for design reasons. And those rather horizontally drawn tail lamps are new for the A-Class generation, for the new one here. So it looks a little bit wider from the base setup already. It is also a little bit wider than the predecessor, but surely remains this hot hatch style. This Keyfob design was introduced with the E-Class, now also for A and B-Class. Usually it's silver, but here in a AMG logo and matte black trim. Keyless entry, put your hand on the outside, on the inside to close and open, but also optional. Then Artico leatherette on the top part, dynamic microfiber at the inside of the doors, also soft, really nicely done, great build quality. Then this aluminum or brushed aluminum trim for the deco elements. You can see something of the LED ambient light there already. Bigger bottles will also fit at the inside of the doors. That's nicely done. Then in the lower area you can see an AMG entry badge next to AMG floor mats and also aluminum pedals. In the higher part you can find the AMG steering wheel taken over from the bigger AMG models. Also with two displays right there to pick the driving modes or suspension settings. We'll play around with them when we drive the vehicle. Also the turbine air vents you can see with the ambient light. I've set it to blue according to the exterior color. You can play around with a lot of different colors if you like them. And see this special trim right here. This is also, let's say, like a, it's also soft touch, but it is basically perforated also to create a sporty structure and an Artico style dashboard. So really looks cool at first sight. We'll soon take another look at it. Now about the seats. They start here with the A35 with base sport seats with the setup with dynamic on the inside and Artico leather on the outside like this here. But those ones here are the optional performance sport seats. So they have more shoulder support, more thigh support. Again, same surface materials, which is a very great mix. If you go racing, then you will probably end up with those seats here. If you seek more comfort in everyday driving, you just stick with the base sport seats, I would also recommend. The base sport seats are also available just with a full Artico cover if you rather want something to wipe clean easier. This one here, of course, will stay cooler in summer and also warmer in winter. You can manually lengthen the lower area. For those performance sport seats, I mean, the first moment you sit in those, it's still quite okay for the comfort, but it's about the long-term comfort that allows you to move along more freely and also has a softer bolstering for the base sport seats. Therefore, again, those ones here look better, maybe look sportier. The other ones feel better. You can manual adjust the steering wheel in reach and height right there. Also a very easy process. And I'm 1.86 m or 6'1". And let's see, there's no panoramic roof inbuilt here. That's optionally available. And without the panoramic roof, I still have a lot of headroom left here. So also for tall people, it does work. The A-pillar just with the A-Class, since the design is rather flat here in this new A-Class generation. This, of course, limits it to the side, but as long as you keep it here, it's actually no problem. So overall, I think, it's a compact hatch seating position, already with a lot of sporty elements you can see here. And also for design reasons, the window is rather slim. If you want a more panoramic view, then you would rather pick a B-Class. This one here already has a quite sporty cockpit for a compact vehicle. Interior overview. Wow, this is one of the most impressive ones in the compact segment with those illuminated turbine vents. The special Edition 1 AMG styling here too, also illuminated very well to see now. Then the perforated structure here at the dashboard with soft touch, also soft touch on the top part. The screens, they start with 7-inch, 7-inch on both sides. Some markets, however, just offer the bigger screen on the right side and don't offer the entry-level screen on the right side overall. But the base which are available would be 7-inch, 7-inch, then 7-inch, 10.25-inch, and this was in the top setup, 2 times 10.25-inch left and right. And on the right side, you either use just the touch, you can use the lower touchpad to control while driving, or use your right thumb here, or to go back, and your left thumb then for the digital instruments. We'll go into details about both screens very soon. Left side of the steering wheel also for the adaptive cruise control to set everything. Then there are those smaller screens, and well, they are not in the same build quality as the rest of the vehicle. I said that initially. Meanwhile, they have improved the build quality here with those screens a little bit if you compare it to the first very early models, the C-Class facelift for example. And you basically change the setting here on the screen touch button, and then on the separate button you adapt each setting. For example, now the suspension setting to like Comfort, Sport Plus and so on. I think it's a little bit overloaded at the steering wheel. On the right side then you have the driving modes. But I mean, you have to put your hand from the steering wheel anyway to change that, like Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus and so on. Usually you would do it in the lower middle console with the drive selector to change the driving modes right there. And you can see they also change according on this screen. It's like Porsche is offering it, but I'm not quite sure if I'm really happy with those two like earrings on the steering wheel. So then let's take a wider perspective again with the middle console. Below those very prominent air vents is still a separate climate unit with a nice clicking sound, so you can adjust the temperature there, and also the vents or the hazard light. Well, you can also change the temperature just with the voice control with the MBUX. For that voice control, you can either press the button at the steering wheel, push it up, or say, "Hey Mercedes,
how can I help you?
I'm cold."
Temperature is 22 degrees.
So then the temperature is increased by 1 degrees. Or when you say, "I'm hot," yeah, I'm hot, then temperature is being reduced. Or you say, "Set temperature to 22 degrees," or something like that. "Hey Mercedes,
how can I help you?
Drive me to Inca."
The route to Avinguda del General Luke, 61 Inca, is being calculated.
Great, there it is. So for using the GPS command and for temperature, it works very well. Or you can also, for example, open the sunshade of the roof if you have the panoramic roof. That's also possible. So if we take a look further down onto the middle console, there is no slider or something. It's already open. In front, you can put your smartphone for the inductive charging function. What I would like you guys to discuss is there's this special lever I can open. I've never seen that. What's that for? I have no idea. It looks like it would be like holding a smartphone tight when it's laying there, when you're maybe on the racetrack. That would be the only solution I could think of. Or could it be something else? Tell me in the comments. Then they all set everything for USB-C. There's one USB-C for your smartphone connection for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in the front. Then a 12-volt power supply. Then there are some cup holders. They're adaptive, interesting when you push those buttons here. They flip out and then they're like adaptive and you can just close them again if you like. Then this touchpad here, you can write, for example, also an address right there, but usually most of the time you would do it with the voice activation. You can also go back, then the driving modes talked about that. GPS hotkey or also the camera hotkey. So when you push this one here and the car needs to be running for that, then you either can search for a next parking spot. If you're interested in that, in the B-Class review recently, we shown you that, and Other than that, normal function would be also the camera system here with the front view, for example. When you put in the reverse gear, you have the rear view camera option, also the drone view from above with a crystal clear resolution from this camera system. Pretty cool. So let's just finish up the rest of the middle console, because the only thing is missing is this middle armrest with a split opening. Then we have 2 more USB supplies, and they are just for charging. So details to those screens, digital instruments on the left. You can also put the GPS map in there, but you can also go with different styles. Super Sport, the Sport style we also know from other AMG models, for example. If we go back there again. Also, for example, a Classic style. This is rather in the normal Mercedes models, but you can also put the normal GPS then in the middle parts, or the assistant systems. Oh, now the
What do you want to do?
So that's the problem. Always when you say Mercedes, then the MBUX is reacting. So probably when you're driving this car, don't talk about Mercedes. Very interesting. So then let's switch over to the right side here. What's the weather today?
What would you like to do?
I would like to go skiing.
Display is on.
Okay, well, I think you can expect too much. So let's see here. If we browse around in this one here, see, it's pretty fast, especially when the internet connection is good enough. That's also something to do with the MBUX. Then you can also really ask everything. But you shouldn't exaggerate it just yet. Hey Mercedes. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help you?
What's the weather?
The outside temperature is 18 degrees Celsius.
Right, why not? Or you can also tell some jokes or something. So you can hear the GPS, and then let's take the main menu. That's how it looks like. You can connect your phone via Bluetooth, but also Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is available. It will also then appear here in the top part as a hotkey that you don't have to go all the way deep in the menu. As for the comfort function, there's also those seat kinetics available. Then there's no seat massage, but then the different functions the seat have, they are then, not doing it for Jonas now, that he doesn't get moved around with the camera. So like the lumbar support, or also like goes back and forth, and the lower part goes up and down. So yeah, Jonas finds that very funny. Then you're also a little bit relieved while driving. It's, I think, a good technology for sure. So, and then you also have some special performance Amg meters that, for example, you can check those engine functions available here, like a kilowatt or Newton meters of torque. We will show you those also when we drive the car. So one thing is also quite cool with the voice activation. When you turn on the seat heating, which you would do at the inside of the doors, and let's see if it's even possible for the passenger side. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help you?
Turn on the seat heating for the passenger.
I'm switching on the seat heating on the front passenger seat.
That's quite impressive. Nice. So the new A-Class has become longer, and you also probably want to use A35 as a primarily vehicle. By the way, you always have to slam the doors in this new A and B class, otherwise the doors won't close that easily. So here you are allowed to slam them. Maybe it has to do something with the noise insulation, not just with the door process, but we just realized that. Well, it does work now here to sit as a tall adult, even as a tall adult is driving. That was not possible in the previous generation, so this increase in length made that possible. Headroom is also quite okay, especially when we have no panoramic roof. Again, 1.86 m or 6'1". It's not super comfortable, and it's close with the knees, definitely. You have quite some room also just to the side, like in the shoulder area. And the seating area is also relatively flat, so that's not too uncomfortable. However, you can see that my knees are, somehow also bent. But actually, I'm quite satisfied here. Of course, the A-Class in the rear is not the super comfort king. In the middle seat here, by the way, there's a big middle tunnel for the all-wheel drive system, and this is also quite stiff, so it's rather recommended to sit on the outside part, with also covered with Dynamica microfiber. Also have this single seat set up, basically with some support. That's actually quite cool. Isofix at the outside parts for child seats. You can also use the ski hatch just for the middle part to flip right there. And you have to flip the seats from here. You would have to move the front seat a little bit further that you can flip it completely. And again, you can feel it here, by the way, this is a high-grade leatherette. This article really feels very soft and smooth, and also is wrapped tightly, and it will stay that way longer than the animal skin leather, because this one here can be reproduced in the same high grades always, and that's why it has been used a lot for outside part of seats, especially, and also for dashboards and stuff. Let's check the boot capacity. 370 liters. And they have massively changed the length. It's 11.5 centimeters longer. And the biggest change is from the previous generation. Before that, the lights were like here, and you could hardly load things in and out. And overall, the width then for the entry is 20 centimeters wider. That's, of course, pretty cool. Just the measurements right here. The total length is now here at about 80 centimeters. And the width right here is just over a meter, and the most important thing is that it's also almost a meter right here, where you really load things in and out. And the height here to the cover is about 40 centimeters, and the total height to the upper part is about 73 centimeters. Let me put in also some luggage that you can see that better. You can also put them upright still under the cover. That's still working. Or like this. And if we put the seats down, and have to go around like this, and also to the other side, then I'll have the maximum setup for you. Here we go. So what's powering this thing? 4-cylinder. 1, 2, 3, 4, also showing by the AMG cover. 2 liter of displacement, 306 horsepower, and you shift via a 7-speed DCT. The acceleration figure is 4.7 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour, or 62 miles an hour. And if you compare, for example, the previous generation A45, that one had 4.2 seconds, so half a second slower here, this new entry-level AMG. Entry-level means for the first time you'll get one, taking a German list price, below 50,000 euros. And, well, the price difference to the 45, well, will be a couple of thousand euros for sure. Then they will make the 45 a little bit more powerful. It's about the engine tuning, of course, but it's supposed to also get a different front axle. However, we'll see later on about the difference 35-45. Today it's about this new entry-level model. What they have done in comparison to the normal A-Class is not only the engine tune, but also they have below the engine some aluminum plate to increase the front stiffness of this vehicle. In general, this new A-Class generation has a stiffer chassis than before, so we'll also see how that one plays out as for the dynamic driving. And this one here, as it has so much power, wouldn't only work via the front axle, also has with the all-wheel drive, and then on demand torque is also transported to the rear. The more you hammer the throttle through, the more torque is also gone to the rear, up to a 50-50 torque front axle, rear axle setup. Welcome to Thomas's active driving lounge with the A35. We won't hesitate. Let's put it in the Sport Plus. Let's go. And that increases the throttle input. Oh, the belts were strengthened here so that we don't run to the cyclist. And in the Sport Plus mode, I got the immediate throttle response, so just hit it really slightly and the car goes forward. So, I mean, of course the sound is a little bit more sonorous with a 6-cylinder and stuff, but performance-wise, this engine is already right there, and we're going uphill. Really beautiful roads here. You can always use the shifting pedals if you wanted, maybe shift the key low or something. That's already the case in the Sport and Sport Plus mode, that the car is keeping it in the lower gears, keeping it with a higher RPMs. And again here, just use the shifting pedals yourself, maybe just with one finger. It's also fun to do that. And of course, when you want to, have you heard that? So when you shift up, there's this plop sound from the exhaust, and also when you let go of the throttle. Plop, plop, plop. So always when you just leave the throttle and then let the car roll a little bit in this Sport Plus mode, then you have this effect. And look at how true the car stays to the road. It's really super effortless, and it's a compact vehicle, so you have a very good connection and a feeling you're always in control all the time. And that's the cool thing if you compare it to like a bigger sports car. I wouldn't say that you need a bigger sports car to have a lot of fun or something. This one here offers you the perfect fun because it is rather light. They've increased the body stiffness here in this new generation. Here also in the Sport Plus mode, when you do the shifting maneuvers, the whole car shakes a little bit on purpose. If you have it in the comfort mode, it's rather a smooth transition. Wow. This is really an awesome driving feeling. The steering is very precise. They have some more progression in the AMG models than in the normal Mercedes models, so you don't have to steer so much. Here I pretty much like it. Sometimes the Mercedes setups are not too progressive for me, but look, I don't have to steer that much here in the corners. That's really cool, and you can really follow the steering and the road, and everything somehow fits to each other. I was going to the left a little bit, right? When I was trying to overtake. Wow, such a nice scenic road here. This is pure Autogefuehl, so the car feeling. So I'm not missing a V6 here or something, although you can always maybe criticize a little bit, getting a lot of horsepower from small displacement, but driving fun-wise and performance-wise, this is really flawless. And do I really need an A35? I think not. So yes, it's not maybe as fast, but you can surely have the same fun with it. It is not super aggressive. It is really harmonious, and I really like that, because sometimes we have cars that feel a little bit overpowered, where you say more horsepower doesn't do any more good. And here it is again one of those vehicles where you feel this is the right amount of horsepower for this vehicle. Together with the overdrive, there's also a lot of stability. So it's not that you get out of control when you hammer the throttle or so, that you would have some front wheel spin or something. The overdrive is always getting you also torque to the rear wheels. And therefore the car feels even more balanced, and there's no under or oversteering. The car's really a balance in itself. It is it's really a pure joy to drive it. Really amazing. Always like to just to use the manual shifting pedals. for example, you can prepare for the next overtaking maneuver or something. And I wasn't really stressing the car. I was driving still rather in a cozy way. By the way, if you go for the comfort mode, then the car is more silent. The exhaust is, taking itself back a little bit. And then you can also drive it a little bit calmer. The suspension is definitely set on a very sporty run. It's not one of those hot hatches where you can have also a rather soft ride. If you think about Golf GTI or Golf R, those are very comfortable also in everyday driving. But here, even if you're in the comfort mode of the adaptive suspension, you feel some uneven bumps in the road. So this car is already stiff. It will be better for your body than if you have the base sport seats, because together with the rather stiffer suspension and those stiff super sport seats, it gets really sporty in here. If you like that, if you intentionally want that, that's good. If you want to use this car every day, I would rather recommend then again the base sport seats, especially since the suspension setup is rather stiff. Then you'll be happier. But here you can, here comfort mode, you also have power, but you have it in higher gears. It takes the car a little bit more time to get then to the RPMs. But of course, even if you're in the comfort mode, you can always use the shift pedals. And then you get some more boost. You also have a slippery mode that takes back the power a little bit, for example, for winter times, but you have all-wheel drive anyway. Then the sport mode already gives you some sound, boosts the RPMs, and the Sport Plus mode then, that gives you the ultimate sound and puts everything then stiffer and more dynamic for sure. And that's really helpful when sporty driving. You've just witnessed that. But you can see this car can basically do both, but clear focus on the sportiness already. So it's not that the A45 will be the sporty variant and this one will be a AMG Light or something. This is not a very good compromise between comfort and sport. It's really in this sport direction already without much compromise. However, since the A-Class has been grown in length and stuff, you can also use it for your groceries and everything. One more last thing before I get active again. We stay in the comfort mode. When we think about the adaptive cruise control, assistance systems and so on, there are a lot of assistance systems available. Also this active steering assistant, for example, for the motorway. If we set the adaptive cruise control here at the steering wheel, then the speed is being kept, also the distance to the car in front of us. And what's also interesting is that when you, for example, are approaching the next corner and you're already at a higher speed, then the speed is being reduced in the corner so that you're not getting too fast maybe in the corners. It's also part between the communication of the car and the GPS information, like when is the next bend coming and so on. And so the adaptive cruise control is also adjusting the speed. Pretty interesting, that for sure. That being said, let's see if we can spice it up. Just some more. Because those rental cars here in front of us, they won't go anywhere. So now we cleared the cars in front of us and we have freeway to go again. And there's a tunnel coming. Let's open the window. Jump to the side. Some more sound impressions from inside the tunnel. Now we continue with our ride. This might be a good straight to test the launch control. We are in the Sport Plus mode. Let's hammer the brakes and the throttle. So that was 120 kilometers an hour. That went quick and also harmonious due to the all-wheel drive And like the shifting, like bam, bam, bam. That was also interesting. Wow. So great acceleration there. If you heard that sound, maybe it's like from the bags in the trunk flying all over the place, although we have secured them. But that's the case. So yeah, I'm not missing an A45, and you know, there has been discussion already about, is this one a tuned down A45, or is then the A45 a tuned up A35? You can argue for both for sure, but I say, I always, when the cyclists are coming, the belts are being tightened, and we get the warning there. Interesting. So I think it's better to take the displacement figure as it is and not pick the highest horsepower trim, but remain with this one and pay less money. And also the A45, if they make it even a little bit stiffer, this one will be better in everyday driving experience. So if you seek for the let's say cheapest AMG model, then you're right here with this one. But if you go just for some extras, you will easily break 60,000 or something. So it will still be very expensive overall. And they are more comfortable hot hatches for sure. There are also some that are more extreme in a way. But this one here is very sporty, very stiff, and probably one of the most balanced cars as for horsepower figure related then, together with the all-wheel drive and donkey. That's so sweet. So, great sporty experience here. Has just a superb handling. I think maybe the superb handling is the one that's really making a difference. Also, if you think about other vehicles or competitors, this is really very convincing. And as I said again, for an everyday car, it might be better than with the normal sport seats. Maybe let me pass here. So, but such a great fun with this vehicle. I can just drive these roads here for hours and hours. But I already feel my lower back. So looking also forward to test the normal sport seats in combination to that car. But I can tell you, if you're already also a current A45 owner, even if this one here is maybe a little bit slower in the acceleration due to the fine tuning and the stiffness of the chassis, you would be just as happy with this one, if not even happier. And do I feel anything of the increase in length and would be less agile? No way at all. This is such an awesome driving machine, and I would take any race rig of the world with this one. And now to our conclusion for today with the new A35. In the exterior, well, with the Aerodynamics pack, it's very aggressive, but without it, it's rather subtle still. Of course, the exhaust tips, they are the most prominent one, but they are just exhaust tips then again. On the interior, great refinement and also this top infotainment system. If you go for the highest spec, you have a lot of digitalization. The voice command is really good. That's leading in the market at the moment. Other than that, I mean, you can also live maybe without a little bit less complexity. There are also good seating materials available. Again, as I said, the base sport seats will deliver you a little bit more comfort. The new A-Class generation, also if you compare this, for example, to a previous A45, this one will deliver more interior space and of course more versatile, especially in the trunk area. Driving-wise, such a driving machine. It is definitely set on the sporty side, so yes, I would say it is a true AMG model. When you want more comfort, probably another hot hatch would be better for you. This one here, definitely a very stiff, aggressive one, and I'm not missing an A45 right here, which will be then a little bit more tuned in the horsepower. What do you think? Leave me your comments, please. And well, it is one of the cheapest AMGs now, or the cheapest now, below 50,000 euros in Germany. If you go for some more specs and options, you will easily access then 60,000 plus. And again, so overall, it remains a very expensive car still. Now, tell me your opinion and also join us next time. Maybe you are interested in a C43, so C-Class segment above this A-Class here. Some more AMG reviews here at Autogefuehl, so tune into the C43 facelift review